Got it.
Got it.
Loading.
Hold on. Okay.
Bro, just send to the group.
Damn, Thor, calm down, dude.
What's up, Alejandro? ¿Cómo estás?
What up, homie? Good.
We're talking in Spanish today. Just in
All
Spanish, clearly, as I'm speaking Spanish.
Oh, fuck.
Tyler, send the link out, bro.
There we go. Found it. I couldn't find the
My
group chat.
lord.
Yeesh.
We're making this way harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. There we go. Send.
Not even in the good way.
Alex
Nailed it.
Got him.
is in a good mood today. This is awesome.
Honestly, it's surprising because I went to the dentist and
Ew.
that was not fun.
No.
The dentist is my best friend.
Ugh.
Really?
No, what?
To be fair, I've been going to my same dentist since I was 5. So we're pretty tight.
Good for you.
Me and Ron, dude, we're homies.
Ron.
Yep. Just so rich. Just big dentist money.
Rocket, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yo, bro, he's just a child.
Little rock.
Just a kid.
You're so baby.
I'm going nuts.
Ollie, chill out.
Oliver. Tyler, in one of my immaculate grids for baseball today, because there's that extra one.
There's multiple grids.
There's an extra one?
There's the baseball bonus one that's right next to it.
What?
That one, your boy got a rarity score of 50.
That's very impressive. Oh, there's a baseball ball. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, the other one. Oh, and the other one I got 79. Apparently, I killed it at baseball.
Oh,
today.
this is supposed to be a wait, hold on. Oh, by Fox. So
Oh my god, it's a tie game.
all right. I will check that out after this is over.
It's only players that you can only put it down if Joe Buck has said their name out loud.
Okay, that's
hilarious.
That would be so hard to do.
That would be. But I mean, he's got a good career for you to figure it
Yeah,
out.
he's pretty much probably most of the teams.
Just no one on the Pirates.
No, and it's just only Cardinals.
Yeah. Yeah. Cardinals and Red Sox, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Yankees.
Yeah. And probably Giants, honestly.
True.
All right, kids. I got trade in Alex and Tyler because the series might be over. So you're gonna go last.
Is indeed. I got 3 more outs.
That's sad.
I give
It's
up.
sad.
I'm watching.
R.I.P. Baltimore.
But good call.
Baltimore. Jesus Christ. So you good, man? Or you?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, ready?
Doing
Let's record.
Actually, I just need to put this up.
Record.
I hope everyone's that's
Oh,
watching.
shit. Hold on. Stop recording.
You like 3 people. Why did we stop the recording?
Hold on. I did it wrong. Now we're good. We're good now.
Can I let go? Can I let go?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool.
All systems go.
All right. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to episode 169 of TLDR podcast. It's a pretty eventful episode full of information and stuff, but none fantasy wise because I'm hosting and my name is James and I'm the football guy. So we're not doing that today. But Tyler, baseball guy Tyler's going to go last because who knows, by the end of this episode, a series might be over. How do you feel about that, Tyler?
It's pretty crazy. It's October baseball, man. It's unpredictable. It's wild. It's everything we love and hate about it. But yeah, I mean, it looks like Texas is about to take this series. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But shit's going crazy, man. It's October. You just gotta love it.
Is it really crazy if they don't go the distance, though? Because, I mean, everything's been really short so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's unpredictable. That's really the end of the day. Like, I mean, obviously the team with the best record in the American League gets swept in the first round. I mean, it's just crazy. It's not. I don't think anyone really expected that. So
Oh, okay,
it's
good
crazy.
stuff. Good stuff. It's crazy. That's pretty much all I got
Yeah,
from that entire
it's
thing.
crazy.
It's crazy and unpredictable. Baseball is life. Alex went to the dentist today and is best friends with his dentist. Why?
Okay, I'm not best friends with my dentist, but
I think he's team dentist now. Just so you know.
I've had one dentist my entire life. I'm old. We're homies. That's the end of it. James, you will be proud of me for two reasons. One, I played golf this weekend. Did it go well? Absolutely not. No. Technically, sort of. I went to fake Top Golf, and they have like the simulator thing. So in my mind, I played real golf, and I wore your shirt. So our golf shirts that we all have matching. So you're
Beautiful.
welcome.
Oh, you're such a cutie. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
I think you might
Yeah.
be Team James again.
Who knows? Who knows?
Team Dentist, Team Tyler, Team Traden. Who knows? It is what it is. Alex is having a good time. He's having a good day. Last but not least, we have Traden, hockey guy. He is looking disheveled. Why?
I'm looking what? Sorry.
Disheveled.
I don't actually. I got to be honest with you. I don't know what that means.
You look gross, man.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome. Just kidding.
Appreciate that. But I'm good. Hockey started today, and so I've been watching that and the baseball series. Crazy stat. Alex, remind us of when your anniversary is.
May 14th.
May 14th. So the Baltimore Orioles, the last time that they were swept was the weekend of your wedding, Alex. And they just
2022
of 2020 of your wedding, not your anniversary, your fucking wedding.
Yeah, long ass time ago.
So yeah, that stat is just blows my mind.
That is a pretty impressive run.
That stat. Like that is impressive, man. Just the things that go on in Traden's mind.
Traden is whipping out a baseball fact.
Well, I saw
in the intro.
I read somewhere that they hadn't been swept since May 2022. I'm like, I wonder. And I look back, and it was against the Detroit Tigers, the same fucking weekend as Alex's wedding. And I was gonna either my wedding or his wedding or in between. So, their run is over now.
So Alex like getting married again? Is that why they're getting swept? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, that's actually what I did this weekend.
His wedding is this weekend.
Yeah, ended the streak.
Ended the streak. Okay, cool. Good intro, guys. We learned some stuff. Alex has a best friend who's a dentist. Tyler thinks things are unpredictable, and Traden is having fun watching hockey and baseball. Going into the episode, Traden's going to start. He's going to finish his preview, even though the season started today, and you'll probably hear this on Thursday. We're going to do a preview anyway. Traden, last but not least, Central Division. All you.
I kind of feel bad because 2 of the 6 teams playing today are part of the division that we're going to talk about. So sorry we're late for you Chicago and Nashville fans. Probably not making the playoffs either anyway, so it doesn't really matter. No offense. Yes, I went there. Okay. Let's get into the last divisional preview. Just like normal, we're going to be going through the Central. We're going to start from the bottom. And we're going to start with the most interesting team probably this season, and that would be the Chicago Blackhawks. The Chicago Blackhawks finished 26-49-7 for 59 points. Well, we know who they got and James's team did not get, and that would be Connor McDavid. Jesus Christ. Connor Bedard in the draft. So they add Connor Bedard, they add Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, Corey Perry, who some of us know very, very well, good or bad, and Ryan Donato. Out is Jonathan Toews, Anders Bjork, Caleb Jones, Jujhar Khaira, Ian Mitchell, and Alex Stalock. James, you wanted to talk about Chicago. It makes sense why. Connor Bedard, I've been watching this game for the past 40, almost 55 minutes, and he's looked pretty solid. He's definitely gonna, step in and make a difference. But my question is, what are your expectations for the Blackhawks, and do you think that they're still in a slow, methodical rebuild here?
I think they really are still part of that slow, methodical rebuild, because you can't, in hockey, right? You can't have that one rebuild or that one draft and all of a sudden have this great team. Like look at the Oilers, for example. Like they drafted the best player in Connor McDavid, who has been fantastic since the beginning, but they didn't make the playoffs that first year or that second year or that third year, right? Maybe they did the third year, but it takes some time, and that's what's going to happen. Like hockey is a very complex game where you have three different phases, and one guy can't fix it all. Needless to say, like they're bringing in people who will help that cause. Like as much as you guys hate Corey Perry, he's a good leader. Like he knows how to win. He's been there, done that, and he is old. So what do you get with an old person who wins? You get leadership. He's not here to perform and score 30 goals. He's here to just be a mentor to everybody. Same thing with Foligno. Like same thing with Tyler Hall. Like they're kind of there to help this young core develop into something greater later on. My expectations for them are to be like another lottery team. Like they're not going to be good. They're going to be bottom. They're going to be terrible. They were last in scoring last year, and they're probably going to be last in scoring again, even though they just scored their third goal. But they're still probably going to be last in scoring this year. So that's my expectation. As far as Bedard, I think he's going to have a solid year, man. I think he's for a rookie, he's going to be great. I think he's going to put up 80 points. He's going to have 32 to 35 goals. Like that's what I'm seeing out of this kid.
Wow, that's almost that's almost handing him the Calder Trophy now, which I think is a pretty safe bet. But that's some high praise for Connor Bedard after what he's shown us so far. For the Blackhawks, I think they're going to just be a team that's going to be pushing in the right direction. I think they're going to be building around Connor Bedard here, bringing in guys that are going to support him, and it's not going to be pretty, but I think it's going to be, at least I think there's going to be a step in the right direction. We're going to get over the fact that they're going to be tanking, because there's no one really to tank for now. I think that the draft class is not quite the same. So they're going to be, looking to improve. We saw what happened. They're the ones that ended the Pittsburgh Penguins season last year. And they're opening up the season with them now, and they just took the lead. So it'll be a wonder to see how they do, but we wish them and Connor Bedard the best of luck. Hopefully your rookie season does not end up like Connor McDavid's did. God forbid. Chicago Blackhawks over under Vegas points. They have them at 71.5. They opened at 67.5, James, last season, and they only finished with 59. 67.5, I think, was like crazy high. There we are. So they think that they're going to even make a step in the right direction from their predictions last year. And this is a big difference. This is a 6-7 game difference. What do you think of 71.5? I
think under. They are not going to be that much better with the additions of all those old guys in Bedard.
Okay. Tyler, what do you think about 71.5 for the Chicago Blackhawks?
Yeah, I agree with James. It'll be interesting to see what Bedard can do, but I don't think he's going to make them that much better.
Alex, do you agree with the boys here?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under, and if you want your kid to be good at hockey, name him Connor.
That's a pretty safe bet. And I'll take the under too. 71.5 just seems a little high, but that they're going to be pushing for pushing for a spot. So it'll be a wonder to see where they end up. Moving on to the Arizona Coyotes. No one wanted to talk about the Arizona Coyotes. It's a wonder why. 28, 40, and 14 last year for 70 points. So quite a margin between them and their Chicago Blackhawk rivals down there. For the Arizona Coyotes, in comes Logan Cooley, Jason Zucker, Alex Kerfoot, Nick Bukestad, former Oiler, Matt Dumba, Sean Dursey, former LA King, Troy Stetcher, and Travis Dermott. Out is Christian Fisher, Brett Ritchie, Laurent Dauphin, Patrick Nemeth, Connor Mackey, and Zach Cassian, because he is now, I don't know if the Ducks actually ended up signing him, but he was with the Ducks during preseason. We got to find out if he signed there. So I was tasked, no one wants to talk about him, so I'm tasked with talking about him. Arizona Coyotes are an interesting team. I don't know how much I can disclose, but I know that there's been some inner workings, for the owner trying to establish his final footprint in Arizona. The reason I know anything is because my bank works with a relationship that he's trying. There's clearly some there that he's trying to shore up some cash to get the stadium built, or the arena built. So and it's a wonder if it's going to end up. But at the end of the day, I think that the Arizona Coyotes I think no one's going to give a shit about them playing at ASU anymore. I think we're kind of over that, discussion. We're moving on. Bill Armstrong has, the GM Bill Armstrong has amassed a lot of draft picks and prospects. This is not a playoff team, but I think this is a team where the actual positivity is going to come now. They're going to be stepping in the right direction. I like the additions of Dumba and Dursey on the back end. They're not superstars, but I think that they're going to be, they're going to push this team forward. I don't think they're going to be pushing for a playoff spot, but I think that if they're kept out of the limelight, I think that's a win, because I'm kind of sick of talking about how shitty the Arizona Coyotes are in the situation. I believe that Arizona can field a hockey team, and it matters there, and it means something there. And I think it's gonna end up, they're gonna end up staying there at the end of the day. But I could be totally wrong. Let's see where Vegas sets them. Vegas sets them at 73.5, so a little bit ahead of the Chicago Blackhawks. They opened at 67.5, and they overachieved, earning 70 points. So they overachieved. Alex, I'm gonna start with you. What do you think of 73.5 for the Arizona Coyotes?
That feels like a really good line. Like,
it is nice.
It could be 73. I'm gonna go over. Let's have some positivity. This feels like a positive Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over too. I think that Arizona's gonna just settle down and move forward and fuck the haters. Like that's what I think this season's about. Tyler, what about you? Are you a hater, or are you with us?
No, I'm a hater. Under.
James, hater or lover?
I'm team Tyler on this one. Let's go under.
Tyler. All right, you're under. No, I get it. It's Arizona. I think that if the less we talk about them, the better it is for them at the end of the day. All right, now we're moving into the middling teams, as I call them in this division. That could have breakout seasons, but probably won't. And we're gonna start with the St. Louis Blues. I was tasked to talk about them. 37, 38, and 7 for 81 points. So just under that 500 point marker. For the St. Louis Blues, give me a second. I'm sorry. In comes Kevin Hayes and Oscar Sundquist. Out is Tyler Pitlick, Josh Levo, Logan Brown, and Thomas Greiss. The Blues are an interesting team, because, they ship out Vladimir Tarasenko, they ship out Ryan O'Reilly, and I just don't know where Doug Armstrong is going to go with this team. It seems like they didn't do much in the offseason. And I don't think they've added anybody I don't think Kevin Hayes is going to come and save the day. I don't think that's the case. I think they have a solid enough team where they're going to compete for a spot. But I think this is a season where they really need to step back and figure out what the direction of the St. Louis Blues is going to be for the next, 5 years, because you could have a situation like Minnesota where, yeah, you're making the playoffs, but what are you doing with it? You could be Vancouver where you're like a point or two out. What are you doing with that? You have to make a choice, right, Alex and Tyler and James? You have to make a choice, and it's about that time where the Stanley Cup's behind them, and they need to make the choice of what they're going to do. And that's where I think about the St. Louis Blues. I hope they succeed, but I just don't know what to expect. And I think Vegas agrees here. So they have in the over under at 85.5, which is outside the playoffs. It's 10 points out. That's kind of that middling ground. They opened last year at 95.5 line, and they finished with 81. So massive underachievement. James, let's start with you. What do you think of 85.5 for the St. Louis Blues?
Also under.
Wow. You're gonna really fade them. I don't know what to think about him. Tyler, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go under as well. Just under. I feel like they didn't really improve a whole lot, and I think that they're under already what they did last year. I don't see how they can be over.
Alex, are you gonna have the ray of sunshine for the St. Louis Blues?
No, it's pouring rain in St. Louis, and the rains are in the shape of L's. That's a under.
I'll give him 86. So I'll take the over. I think they're gonna hit that line. I like the line. It's not horrible. I don't think they're going to be a massive disappointment, but I just don't think that they're going to be, world beaters either. Which is actually a step forward than last year. I think that they massively underachieved with some issues, and I think that they'll kind of round some of that out. Moving on to the Nashville Predators. This is for you, Ty. The Nashville Predators finished 42-32-8, strongly in 500 territory, but missed the playoffs by 3 points. They down the stretch had us thinking, wow, could they do this again? Like where they snuck in just like the year before. But turns out Winnipeg kind of solidified themselves. A couple others in the Pacific did as well, and they're on the outside looking in. And in doing so before that, Tyler, they shipped some guys out at the deadline, and they still made a push. But in the offseason, in comes Ryan O'Reilly from the aforementioned St. Louis Blues, Gustav Nyquist, Dennis Gurianov, Luke Shen, GM Barry Trotz, and Coach Andrew Burnett. Out is Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, Cal Foote, GM David Poyle, and Coach John Hines. So this is the first season as in the Barry Trotz era. He was coach with Washington forever. He's now the GM. They bought out Matt Duchene, and they no longer have Ryan Johansson, contract under their belts. It seems like they have figured out the contract issues and they're going to be moving forward. Where do you think the Predators go from here? I mean, do you think that they're a team that is in that mushy middle, or do you think that there's some leeway or some hope for a team that can actually make the push for the playoffs?
I think there's a little bit of hope here for Nashville. They're kind of an interesting team. I still think that they have some good pieces there in play. And then obviously with a new coach and a new GM, I think the philosophy is going to change in terms of the roster that they're trying to build. So I've heard this phrase before where it's not a rebuild, it's like a retooling. So it's not like they're going to strip everything down, because I think they have a lot of good pieces there and pieces that they can build around to make this a fairly quick retooling where they're not going to be great for a few years, but I think that they can get back to contention fairly quickly. That's where it kind of seems, as at least of today going into this season, that's kind of what they're trying to do. Obviously kind of how they play this season is going to tell a lot. How they handle the trade deadline is going to tell a lot, and how they finish, and then, whether they decide if that, okay, we tried it for a season. We kind of learned a lot of, with a new GM, new head coach, kind of what we really want. That might change when the season's over. But I do think there is a small window that Nashville could possibly make a move and make a run. I don't think that they're Stanley Cup contenders, but I think that there's a slight chance that they might be able to squeak into a wild card position. They're going to have a lot of things go their way. I think having UC Saros is huge. I think he's going to carry that team. There's a huge lack of offense. I think for me, that's their biggest concern. But I do think there's a glimmer of hope for Nashville to be competitive this season.
Yeah. Whenever you have UC Saros, I think that you're in for at least a decent enough season. And Alex, I think you were the one who drafted UC Saros last night, just before I did. So fuck you, by the way. I was just there. He was on my queue there. But Tyler, the more I think about this team, the more I tend to agree that this team has an opportunity to make a push. They have UC Saros, who's going to keep you in games. Today, they played the Tampa Bay Lightning first game of the season. Their first period was atrocious, and then they really made it interesting against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And whenever you have UC Saros in net, there's something there that just gives you some comfort. He plays a lot of games, and he's a great net minder. He stops a lot. You just need to find some scoring, and I think that you're going to be a team that is going to be solid enough. Nashville, Vegas is kind of in that same boat as they are with St. Louis here. They actually have them finish 86.5 points. That's where the over-under set. Last year they opened at 97.5 and they finished with 92. So Tyler, you had some good things to say about Nashville. Are you taking the over at 86.5?
Yeah, I'm gonna take over with that line. I think they'll be just over it, but I think there'll be some positive moments in Nashville this year.
Positive moments. So that will be outside the playoffs, but at 87.5, I mean, it's in that range where if you're hot for a week or two, you're in. Alex, where are you sitting with the Nashville Predators?
I'm also going to take the over. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I don't think they got any worse. I don't think they got any better. Kind of that like 90-point mark seems pretty Nashville-y.
James, where are you sitting with the Preds?
My first over of the day on this one. I'm picking the over. I like Tyler's words. They were good words, good things. And what Alex said too, like they kind of just there.
They're kind of just there, yeah. But they're always there, and they're always a team that for some reason likes to make a sprint at the end because they fucked up in the beginning, and it just didn't work out for them this time. But let's move on to the first playoff team from last season, that Winnipeg Jets, who finished 46-33-3 with 95 points. They got their asses handed to them in the first round of the playoffs to the eventual Stanley Cup champions. And Alex, you wanted to talk about them, but first, in comes Alex Iafallo, guy you guys know very well. Gabe Vilardi, a guy you guys know very well. Rasmus Kupari and Laurent Bossoin. Out is Pierre-Luc Dubois, Blake Wheeler, Sam Gagner, Kevin Stunland, Carson Kuhlman, and David Riddick. The Jets are kind of, I know they're better than Vancouver, but they're still that kind of mushy middle team. Like they haven't really made strides, but they haven't really been a doldrum team either. They've just had issues since Byfuglien left many years ago. Now they just haven't figured out their defense. But Alex, something happened in the last couple of days. Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele are not going anywhere. They are staying with Winnipeg for a long time. How does that play into the Winnipeg Jets season, with knowing that you're going to have these guys for a long time? You already had them this year for sure, but does that change some things?
I think it does. I mean, I think it shows that the Winnipeg front office and ownership is saying, yes, I think they're in a very similar to the Predators, where it's not a rebuild, it's a retool. And they're not doing the Vancouver Canucks where they're just sort of somewhere, like they're showing the direction they're going. They're giving their top guys the money. And then, ideally that will help bring in potentially other free agents in the years to come. And hopefully their draft picks kind of get going. And, obviously that PLD trade with the Kings, you hope those three guys kind of take a step forward in Winnipeg. And that really kind of helps offset the offense that Pierre-Luc Dubois had. But when you look at this team, you still have Kyle Connor, who's for the quietest 40-goal season you'll ever see. Mark Scheifele, Josh Morrissey, who's a potential Norris candidate, Connor Hellebuck, who's a potential Vezina candidate. Like, they have good bones. It's just the depth that is going to come into question with Winnipeg. But they're showing a direction, and that umbrella of, okay, are they going to trade another Connor Hellebuck, one of the best goalies, or are they going to trade Scheifele? Like, what are they going to do? Those questions are no longer there. We maybe not look at Winnipeg as one of the top teams, but we know the direction they're going. And I think for, Jets fans and for the players, that's got to be, a positive thing.
Yeah. I think that signing those two guys that we thought had a major issue with the front office and Winnipeg in general is a good sign. It's a great sign. We know that Connor Hellebuck's locked in. He got his money and he is well deserved. Mark Scheifele, same thing. I know that even I have some question marks regarding the leadership of Mark Scheifele, but clearly Winnipeg doesn't, and maybe we don't know things that we don't know what it's like inside that locker room. Because clearly if you sign long term, there's something there. I like the additions that they brought in. This is going to be a team that I think is kind of in that mushy middle again, and it's going to be tough because I think that a couple of the teams above them are going to be even better, and I think the Pacific's even better. So that pushes your potential for points down a little bit. And I think Vegas agrees. So Vegas has Winnipeg. They're opening them up at 91.5 points, Alex. They opened at 88.5, and they well overachieved at 95, made the playoffs. And I think we were kind of surprised how they did down the stretch. How do you think about the 91.5 for this team? This is basically the playoff line, kind of.
Yeah. So crazily enough, I'm going to go over, but they missed the playoffs. So
they're 92.
They're like 92, 93. I agree. I think we talked about it, or whenever we did the Pacific. Like, I think potentially there's 5 teams coming out of the Pacific and I think there's maybe only 3 coming out of the Central. So I think Winnipeg is going to be that team, and kind of with Nashville just on the edge there.
Yeah. Tyler, how do you feel about the Winnipeg Jets?
I'm actually gonna go under. They feel like an every other year kind of team where they just kind of like one year they're good, one year they're kind of not so good. I think this is gonna be a not so good year for Winnipeg. Under.
James, are you gonna go over and kind of start to round out your liking of the Central Division, or not really?
I am going to go over. I like stability in this. What they just did screams stability.
Yeah, but I agree. I do like the stability. I'm still going to take the under. I think that there's just too much competition in the Pacific, and that might take them away. I don't think they're going to be horrible, but I think they're going to be right around 90, 91 points there. But good luck to the Winnipeg Jets. Moving on to Minnesota, finished third in the division, 46, 25, and 11 for 103 points, made the playoffs. I believe they got a first round exit to the Dallas Stars, if I'm not mistaken. You might have to double check me on that. But that's who I think they ended up losing to. Minnesota. I'm sorry. I had my notes all nice, and then they just kind of ran away from me. In comes one guy, Pat Maroon, Stanley Cup champion, dog. That's it. Out goes Gustav Nyquist, Sam Steele, Ryan Reeves, Oscar Sundquist, Mason Shaw, Matt Dumba, John Klingberg. Wow, they lost a lot and they gained absolutely nobody. They kind of stumbled into the postseason last spring. Was beat by Dallas in the first round. Their off season was a little bit to be desired, to say the least, Alex. But this is a team that always seems to fucking compete, even if they're not winning, they always are competing in the regular season. So, with the amount of people that they lost, that you lost your Matt Dumba, who's been there forever, John Klingberg, you lost Sam Steele, you lost Gustav Nyquist, you lost a lot of guys, and you bring in one veteran who's a fourth liner now. What's Minnesota doing?
Yeah, I think Minnesota is trying to get younger. A lot of those guys you just said have 3 as the first number in their age, which from someone who also has that first number, like, I get it, you're old. But they also, to be fair, also re-signed Philip Gustafson, and pairing him with Marc-Andre Fleury, that's a pretty intense, pretty good duo in net. And look, Kaprizov is a superstar. We could see him take another step. Eriksson, what's his name? Joel Eriksson Ek, or whatever the fuck you say his name. That guy's going to start coming. Brock Faber is like 17 years old. He seems to be a monster on the DN. So yeah, they didn't do a whole bunch, but I think they're going to kind of hope for their young guys to take a step forward. And I think they're potentially kind of looking at their division and thinking, okay, maybe we're not better than the 2 teams that finished above us, but we're still better than the 5 teams we've already discussed. And maybe they're just, it doesn't feel great. It's not like, ooh, okay, Minnesota is, minus 100 or whatever to win the cup. Like, they're probably plus 1,500 or whatever. But I still think this is a good team. And yeah, you're right. They're going to score 100 to 105 points and make the playoffs and lose in the first round, and it'll be fine. That's just what they do.
They have solid enough goaltending. They have they have largely the same core that they did before. And, and that's led by Kirill Kaprizov, who's, it's Kirill Kaprizov. He's a superstar. He's great. It'll be interesting to see what they do at the deadline, Alex. Like, I think that's going to be the moment where we're going to see what Minnesota's going to do. And maybe that's what the GM there is waiting for. But I was not really impressed with with what Bill Guerin did. And he doesn't have very much, leverage here, but here we go. We'll see how he does down the stretch. Alex, Vegas agrees with you. Vegas sees the over under at 95.5. That is literally what the playoff line is. So if you have 96, you're in. If you have 95, you're probably not, or you're very you're flirting with danger. They opened at 99.5 and went over at, well, not well went over, but they went on over at 103. So they, you made some money there. What's your thoughts on 95.5?
Yeah, over. Like I mentioned, they're going to score somewhere between 100 and 105 and make the playoffs and lose in the first round.
James, what about you, bud?
I'm going to go under on this one. Losing a lot of leadership and that veteran and 30-plus-year-olds is actually going to hurt them towards the end there.
So you take the under. Tyler.
I'm gonna go over for the Wild as well. They just always seem like a team that's gonna do well.
Yeah, they always seem to do that, but for some reason I just don't. I'm worried here, and I'm gonna take the under with James there. I'm worried about this team. When you have Colorado, who's a motivated Colorado, like get the fuck out of the way, and a Dallas team that is by far a better team. That is a worry for me. And again, we talk about the Pacific getting better, and that's always a worry. Moving on to the Dallas Stars. James, you love your Dallas Stars. 47, 21, and 14, 108 points. They were out in the they were out in the Western Conference Final to the Vegas Golden Knights. Very sad. They had a great run, but they just fell up short. In comes Matt Duchene, Craig Smith, Sam Steele, and Gavin Beruthier. Out is Max Domi, Luke Glendening, and Colin Miller. James, I have said this on this podcast multiple times. The Dallas Stars have a superstar at forward, at defense, and in goal and in net. They are built for the long haul. They are built incredibly. They're deep. They are a strong team. And then they bring in Matt Duchene, who's going to be a motivated guy. He just got bought out, and now this is a guy who's shown that he could score goals. How scared are you, or if you're a Dallas fan, how happy are you going into this season where do you think that they could actually win this division?
I am happy because, yes, I am a Dallas fan ever since that COVID year. This, like you just said, this team is scary good. They're only going to get better because their stars are young stars. Like Robertson's like, what, 23, 24 years old? This guy's insane. He had 2 great years in a row, and he's only going to get better. Adding Matt Duchene in the mix is only going to make him better. Pavelski is 30 plus, but he's not really slowing down. Jamie Benn had a resurgent year out of nowhere after being terrible for like 3 years in a row. This is what you're getting out this team. You're getting a group that is motivated. And yes, you use that with Colorado as well. But this team is more offensively driven than Colorado is, in my opinion. And I get they got Cale McCarr, they got McKinnon on the other side there. But this team is still so good, and they have so much more room to grow that it's scary that if they hit that potential, they will win this division. I like this team a lot.
And so does Vegas, but not as much as they did last season. But they do actually. So Vegas is opening up the line at 104.5. And now before we get there, I think Dallas is going to be a formidable threat. Bringing in Matt Duchene is scary. If I'm not mistaken, they actually even have some cap space. They have a little bit of cap space to work with, very little, but little goes a long way in this league. This team is going to be pushing for a divisional spot, so tops of the division, so that they can play a much weaker opponent. James, 104.5. So they opened up 92.5 last season. They finished 108, blew it out of the water. 104.5 is a step back, but again, you're talking about a lot of myriad of teams coming up, blah blah blah. 104.5 taking the over means you think that they're probably going to win the division. Where are you thinking about Dallas?
Oh, over.
So like, okay, give me how many points?
111.
Wow, that is a game and a half. That's a game and a tie more than last season. That's impressive. What about you, Tyler?
I agree. I think they're gonna be over. I think this Dallas team is gonna be very, very good.
Put it this way, guys: 111 is the best. Was tied with the Vegas Golden Knights as the best team in the West. So I love it. Alex, how are you feeling about 105.5? 104.5.
It doesn't matter. I was going to take the over either way.
I'll take the over too. They're a scary team, and they are built for the long haul, and I just appreciate the hell out of that. Moving on to the last team, the team that just could not go back to back, the Colorado Avalanche finished 51, 24, and 7 for 109 points. They lost to Seattle in round 1. That was kind of shocking, but you got to think that some of it had to do with the depth wasn't the same. They were a little bit tired, and things just don't. It's hard to win 2 in a row, guys. It really is. In comes Jonathan Drouin, Ryan Johansson, Miles Wood, and Ross Colton. Out is JT Comfort, Lars Eller, Evan Rodriguez, Alex Newhook, Matt Nieto, Eric Johnson, and Jonas Johansson. This Tyler, Colorado, you wanted to talk about Colorado. They are without their captain, Gabriel Landeskog. That we saw that this team that mattered to this team. It really did. He is a backbone of this team, whether it's on the ice or in the locker room. There's some issues there, but they do have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. For me, if you have Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, you're probably one of the best teams in the league. How are you feeling about the Colorado Avalanche, and how worried should we be that they got ousted in the first round after trying to go back to back?
Yeah, it's with the whole Landeskog thing. I think last year, obviously, it was very up in the air. They weren't really sure if they were going to get him back. He ended up not coming back. I think that was it was a weird uncertainty for them. I think knowing this year that they're going to be without him, as big of a blow that is, they know they're going to be without him. So I think that actually, I think mentally is going to help this club. But you're right. I think this team has elite talent, some of the best talent in the league, but I still think their depth isn't quite there, not quite what it was when they won the couple years ago. I think that's going to be an issue for them, really kind of more when we get to the playoffs. But this is a lock for playoff team. This is still a very, very good club, a team that's going to win a lot of hockey games. And I think really it's them and Dallas are going to be, 1-2 in that division. I think it's going to be a race down to the final week of the year for kind of who locks up that number 1 seed. There's still a lot to like with this Colorado team. And I think, like I said, I think not having Landeskog is a blow, but they know for sure what the plan is. They're not going to have them. I think that, they might add a few pieces at the deadline. There's still a good window for this team to win another cup if they keep building towards it. So I like this team a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you can never count the Colorado Avalanche out at all. I think that they have the depth there, but maybe it's not as deep as they were back in 2022, to your point. So, but Vegas thinks they're going to take the division again, 106, excuse me, 106 and a half. They opened at 111 and a half last season. And they finished with 109. Tyler, are you taking the over and under here?
I'm actually going to go under, but just barely. I still like Dallas winning the division, so I got to put them over, but I think they'll be right, but kind of that 104 to 105. So that's kind of where I'm Colorado.
Yeah. Alex, you've been very much over this whole division except 2. Are you going to balance it out at all, or are you thinking they're going to go be strong?
Positivity, over.
Over. Wow. You love this division. I love it.
I don't fucking know, man.
James, so if you go over here, you're gonna make it even. Otherwise, you hate the division.
Yeah, I'm going under. I'm gonna go under, but like barely, like Tyler just did, like very minuscule amount. That's how much under I'm gonna go.
All right, I love that. So that wraps up the divisional previews. Thank you guys very much. But last thing, going around the horn, who's making the Stanley Cup final? East, West. James, who you got? No one was prepared for this. I know.
I'm prepared. I knew this was coming. I'm ready.
Okay, Maple Leafs,
Okay.
to spite you, and then Oilers also to spite you.
Okay, Tyler.
Yeah, fuck you, James. I was going to go with that exact same matchup. I think that'd be a really fun cup final.
Would be a cup fun. Alex.
Well, I'm not doing either of those teams. The Carolina Hurricanes and the Dallas Stars.
I like that. I like half of everybody's answers. So I'm going to take the Edmonton Oilers because they're my team. That's what I expect. And I am going to take Carolina. I think Carolina is the team to beat this season in the East. And that is all I have for hockey previews. I'm going to be taking a couple weeks to make sure Alex gets through his basketball. So I'm going to be hosting a couple weeks, make sure he gets through that. And then we're going to talk about some holy puck moments and stuff. Tyler, I might even steal your you did series of the weeks. I might do games of the week, and that maybe I'll do something fun there. So hope everybody will tune in for that.
I hope Traden's correct that Carolina is the team to beat in the East, and I really hope they get the cup sooner rather than later, so I get more points and pulling Alex. That's the goal. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, Alex has another division to preview.
I think I have mine set. If I don't host any time within the next 3 weeks, I'll be good. Like opening night, we'll be finishing the last one like you traded.
Perfect.
Should be good.
I'll cover you as long as I need to.
Okay. No, I think we should be good.
True friendship. You ready?
Yes, sir.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your little break and listened to some music. Alex is going to talk Northwest Division. It's all you, man.
Yes, thank you, James. We are officially into the Western Conference in the NBA, and we are starting in the Northwest. James, and I'm throwing it right back to you with the Portland Trailblazers and your guy, Damian Lillard. So they finished 33-49 last year. They missed the playoffs. They lost Damian Lillard. Obviously, got traded to the Bucks, even though James told us he was getting traded to the Heat, and that's why I'm no longer on Team James. Yusuf Nurkic and Cam Reddish are also out. They gained DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon, Scoot Henderson with the number 3 overall pick, and I feel like one of James's favorite all-time players in Robert Williams. So, James, where do the Blazers go from here? It is no longer Dame Dollar time in the Pacific Northwest. They, for the last 10 years or whatever, Dame's been the face of that franchise. He's now gone. What's going on in Portland?
Well, I mean, if you just take it at face value and you're like, oh my God, Dame's gone, so this Portland Trailblazers are going to be terrible. You're like, okay, cool. Like, that is what it is. But if you actually take a closer look at the lineup, that the stuff they got back, they're not terrible. They have depth now, like some serious depth. And Scoot Henderson is going to be this franchise piece, but he's not ready to start yet. He's young, right? He'll be coming off the bench to begin. But when he becomes that corner piece, they're going to start building around it. And I don't think you'll see Malcolm Brogdon still here by the end of the season. I think he's going to be gone. There's going to be some trade pieces. This team is not going to make playoffs, but they will be watchable. Chauncey Billups will be fired during the season. Like, that's going to happen. Like, he's not a good coach. He was not able to lead this team to the playoffs at all, even though he's brought in there to do that. It's not happening. But this team on paper, looking at their starting lineup and looking at the bench pieces, they're a decent team that will score points and defend well. Like, Robert Williams is great defensively. DeAndre Ayton hated Phoenix, but now he's here and he's talking all positive things like Alex just did. Like, he's a positive guy now instead of being this pessimistic dude in Phoenix who didn't talk to his coach. I think you're going to see greater play out of Ayton this season because he's in Portland rather than Phoenix. And on top of that, you have Jeremy Grant, who is just going to be the main scorer now. He's going to be the guy with Malcolm Brogdon being the passer. This team doesn't look terrible. Like, everybody's saying they're going to have less than 20 wins. And I think they're going to have like 33, honestly.
Yeah, James, I agree. They did a fantastic job with the Damian Lillard trade. Obviously, you got traded to the Bucks, and then they kind of immediately flipped Drew Holiday, who was part of that trade, which I kind of think was a bad idea on the Bucks, but maybe we'll talk about that into the season. To the Celtics, where they got a lot of those guys that I mentioned. But yeah, I agree with you. Everyone was kind of looking at this team all off season going, okay, Dame's going to leave and they're going to be a potential number 1 overall pick lottery team. I don't think they're going to be that bad. They're not going to make the playoffs. No, but everything is looking a lot more positive. The future is looking more bright. And I agree with you, James. I think DeAndre Ayton should thrive, not in Phoenix. It was just not working there. I don't know whether it was the overall pressure being the number 1 overall pick and kind of being that first guy to restart that franchise. And then he really wasn't. And the playoffs, and, obviously Monty Williams isn't there anymore, but they did not get along. It's a whole fucking thing. But either way, DeAndre Ayton, I think, should kind of thrive up there in Portland. And just like trading, and like we've done for all of these, the over-unders. To be fair, this one was before Dame got traded, but I'm going to leave it because honestly, I was too lazy to go find another number. So if you guys this may be a hard under for everybody, but Trailblazers over-under at 37.5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I feel like we all could use a freebie.
Yeah. I mean,
James, I'm going to assume you're taking the under.
Yeah, I said 33, so under.
Yeah. Ty.
Yeah, under.
All right, Traden.
Way under.
Okay. I'm also going to take the under, but I think they could be around the 30 mark. I don't think they're like into the 20s or the teens or anything. I do not think they are that bad. Moving on to the Utah Jazz. Weird season last year. Started like 14-2, and then it did not go well. At the end there, they went 37-45. Obviously, they missed the playoffs. They lost Rudy Gay, Damian Jones, and Juan Toscano Anderson. They gained John Collins, Keontae George, number 16 overall pick, Taylor Hendricks, number 9, and Bryce Sensabaugh, number 28. Also, I've only decided to announce the first round picks because second round picks rarely kind of turn into something big in the NBA, and also it's just too many names. But Ty, you wanted to talk about the Utah Jazz. So like I mentioned, they started off the year really well, and everyone's kind of like, what is happening? You're supposed to be tanking. They fell pretty hard there at the end. what do you see in this team? Are you just assuming, that they're another kind of bottom tier team, or are you kind of looking for them to start making that turn to, being a competitive team again?
Yeah, I feel like they're more on the side of kind of making that turn. I definitely don't think that they're, legit contenders yet, but they're on a good track. I think the GM has done a really good job of, kind of trading away those stars and getting a lot of picks in return. We obviously picks they still got to work out, and they still got to make their mark. So there's still a lot of open-ended questions with how well their prospects are going to do. But they did pretty well last year in their first, kind of year of the rebuild, and showed signs of kind of what they can be. I mean, they had the most improved player in the NBA in Markkanen. So there's a lot of positive things going on with the Jazz, and I think that they're doing this rebuild so far very well. So I think that they're not too far away from kind of getting back into contention. I'm not expecting a whole lot of them from this season, but I do like where they're going. I think they're in a positive direction.
Yeah, we like that. This is a positive podcast. I mean, Lauri Markkanen was really, really amazing last year. He made the All-Star team, was most improved player, then went to go do his military service, should be good to go for the season. It's just like a lot of teams that we talk about. Unfortunately, Utah is not a free agent destination. Why would you want to go there? Unfortunately, Utah, I'm really sorry. You're a beautiful state, but no one wants to go play in Salt Lake City. Even Donovan Mitchell kind of mentioned that after being traded to Cleveland last year. So they have to do it through picks and through the draft and trading well. And, they've made a lot of moves in the last 2 to 3 years. And yeah, hopefully for Utah, it's kind of starting to go back that other direction. I'm not entirely sure it will be, and Vegas doesn't believe either. So like I mentioned, they had 37 wins last year. They open at 35.5, Tyler. So you're going to you sounded positive, but are you 35.5 positive?
I'm not. I think they're going to be just slightly under that mark.
Okay. Trade-in, what about you?
Yeah, I'll take the under 2 here.
Okay. James?
I have them over at 36.
Oh, okay. Nope. I'm on team trade-in, so I'm taking the under. Those are the rules. I don't make them up, even though I 100% make all the shit up. But yeah, hopefully Utah starts kind of going back in the right direction. Trade-in coming to you with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Huge improvement last year. They went 40-42. Unfortunately, they lost in the play-in tournament. They didn't really lose a whole bunch, just Jared Butler and Dario Saric. They gained Davis Bertans from Tyler's, well, it was Washington Wizards like 3 teams ago, whatever. Victor Oladipo makes his return, and Cason Wallace with the number 10 overall pick. We have been talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder and their roughly 12 million first-round picks over the next 6 years or so. So, trade-in, after their kind of huge leap, do you see that trend continuing? Do you think this is a better team than it was last year? Or can you see them potentially flipping some of those picks for a superstar or to kind of gain traction in that Western Conference?
I think it's going to depend, but I think that OKC is going to continue to play the long game. Look, I think that they are. I mean, I think that they are argued as one of the best young core in basketball right now. I mean, they have. But I think the thing is, I think we have to pump the brakes. Success is not going to come easily. It's not going to come fast. And I think they need to pump the brakes. But I do think that this is a team that is going to make strides this season. Look, our favorite stick man, Chet Holmgren, is coming back. He's going to make an impact. I know, James, you don't like him, but he makes an impact. Regardless, he's going to make an impact on the defensive side. He's going to make an impact on the offensive side. He had an amazing preseason. And that cannot be not talked about. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was fantastic. He was fantastic. And he kind of held this team together when Chet was out. And the most important thing I think that we need to realize is that without SGA in the lineup, they went 7-7. Like they were able to go at least 500 without him in the lineup, which really makes you see that this team has some depth there. It has a young core that's gonna make even bigger steps. They're not gonna make a huge step. There might be some growing pains, but you have got Josh Giddey, who had an improved season. You had Jalen Williams, who was runner-up of Rookie of the Year. You have guys here that it's a young team. They're gonna go through the growing pains of the inexperienced part, and they made the play-in tournament last season. That is a step in the right direction. They're one win away from making the playoffs. Like I have to think that with our favorite player coming back, they're going to be a better team than they were last season. And the guys that were already there for that one season are going to be, that much better, that much more experience. And they're going to be hungry for that chance for the playoffs. This is a team that we need to watch out for the long haul. This is the team that I don't think that they're quite as, extravagant as the New Jersey Devils, but they are the young team that everybody needs to look out for because they're going to be good for a long time. This is the OKC, and this is just a start.
Yeah, Traden, I think you nailed it. The OKC Thunder are probably, like you mentioned, the team best set up for the next half decade to a decade. Again, not every pick and every first round pick is going to pan out. That's just the part of life in sports. It just doesn't happen. But SGA is a legitimate superstar in this league. Should be an all-star every year for the next 5 years. Chet is obviously a very polarizing figure, and we're still not really sure what he will do over a full NBA season. If he can stay healthy and if he can perform up to his potential, that's a huge like number 2 option for the Thunder. And you're right. Jalen Williams, Josh Giddey, the rest of those young Thunder players can really, make a big stride. And if Victor Oladipo can stay even remotely healthy, which I don't really believe that he can, at minimum, he can kind of be that veteran presence who's played some big games, been on some good teams, and can help maybe lead the Thunder kind of going forward. I really like the Thunder. It would not surprise me if they took that New Jersey Devils step and made the playoffs as kind of a surprising like 6th seed. It would not surprise me at one bit. And Traden, so like I mentioned, they went 40-42 last year. So they are opened at 44.5. 44.5 puts you right at that play-in 6 seed ish, depending on how well some other teams do. That's a really good line for the Thunder. So what do you think?
And that's the I was expecting lower. Shit. You know what? Because you have, because I picked them, I'm gonna take the over. I don't know why, just for fun.
Okay, I like that. James, you gonna go for fun, or you're gonna go for sadness?
I'm gonna go for sadness because I hate Chet Holmgren. He's not gonna make it the full season. He's gonna get injured again. Have Thunder at 40.
Okay, Ty, are you team fun or team sadness?
I'll go team fun over.
All right, I'm also gonna go over. It feels like 45. Like it feels like a game if they do it, but I'm liking the positivity. Oh, moving on to a team that we have not been very positive about for a very long time. The Alex Rodriguez-owned Minnesota Timberwolves. They went 42-40 and lost in the first round. James, they lost Nathan Knight, Jalen Noel, Taurean Prince, and Austin Rivers. They gained Troy Brown, Leonard Milliard, and Jalen Clark, who were second-round picks because they didn't have any first-round picks, so I had to talk about something. Oh, the Minnesota Timberwolves. The roster, James, really did not get an upgrade. We're looking at another year of the Towns, Gobert, Anthony Edwards experience. What do you think about Minnesota coming into this year?
I like them a lot more than I liked last year.
Okay.
I think it's because Anthony Edwards just showed out in FIBA. Like he just showed how much he loves basketball and wants to be the guy. And the quotes that come out of there are fantastic. Like he is a weird guy to say the least, but he's vocal and he's good at basketball and just loves playing. Like he's gonna do whatever it takes to be good at what he does. When it comes to the Twin Towers that we talk about here with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, that experiment didn't really pan out per se in the first season, but that's because Karl Anthony Towns missed 62 games. It's hard to judge them based off those 20-ish games they played together. And Gobert had his worst year since his rookie year. Karl Anthony Towns missed 62 games. So what are we supposed to get from that experiment? You can't really decide much from that. I'm looking forward to another year where they get an entire offseason together when they're healthy and just grow together. And yes, Gobert is not an offensive guy at all, but he has helped this defense become a top 10 defense in the league. And that's what you need. You have scores on the other side. You got Anthony Edwards, you got Karl Anthony Towns. All you need is some defense, and that's what you got in the middle. I like this team. To me, this team pushes 40, 46, 47 wins.
Okay. Well, thank you for the positivity. As we all know, this is a positive podcast, so appreciate that. Yeah, obviously, as good as Anthony Edwards is, I think this is still Cat's team for like another year, maybe. He's still kind of the face of that team, and him missing 3/4 of the season is brutal. That's going to make it really hard to win. And James, like you mentioned, really hard to kind of determine how well that kind of big three will kind of mesh together. Anthony Edwards is the guy who I kind of see as the face of the NBA once Steph and LeBron are gone. Anthony Edwards, he has the personality. We've seen, LeBron was the face of the NBA in the small market in Cleveland. I still think Ant could possibly do that in Minnesota, which would be really cool. So James, you had at like 46, 47 wins, that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting, because they opened at 44.5, the same number as the Thunder. So I'm going to assume then that you're taking the over.
Yeah. Up.
Okay. Ty.
Yeah, I'll go over.
All right. Traden. Over.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under. I don't know why. I think they could potentially trade Karl Anthony Towns if things get off to a poor start and kind of do a little bit of a rebuild. So I'm going to take the under. I'm positive on the Minnesota Wild, not positive on the Timberwolves. So I'm very 50-50 on the state of Minnesota. Moving on, Tyler, to the Denver Nuggets. They went 53-20 and won their first NBA championship. They lost a lot of depth. Bruce Brown, Thomas Bryant, Jeff Green, and Ish Smith, some of the best immaculate grid guys you could ever find. They gained Julian Stewart with the number 29 overall pick, and then some other second rounders that I didn't write down. Apologies. The Nuggets, because they have Jokic, are obviously still a title favorite. They still seem like one of the best teams in the West. But with their cap restraints and some of their kind of lackluster offseason, they're relying on some young guys to really take a step forward. And Tyler, do you think their lack of depth may hurt the chances to repeat?
I do think it'll hurt their chances to repeat. I think it's one of the many reasons why it is so hard. I think, with the cap and kind of restructuring, you're going to lose some depth pieces. And that's kind of where the Nuggets are entering this season. But as you mentioned, you still got Jokic, you still got Murray. Those are two of the best players in the league coming off a championship season. The vibes are very high in Denver right now. So I think that they're still going to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference. I think a lot of teams in the Western Conference also got better. So it's going to be very competitive once again. So I don't expect the Denver Nuggets to be quite as dominant as they were last season, but I still think that they're title contenders. They still got one of the best 1-2 punches in the league. Maybe they'll add at the trade deadline, depending on what they need. But yeah, certainly not quite the juggernaut of a basketball team that we saw when the championship last season.
Yeah, I mean, the Nuggets went through the playoffs pretty easily. I think there was 5 games in the finals. They swept the Lakers. I don't even remember who they played in the second round because it doesn't even matter. They probably swept them. I think they lost 1 game to the Timberwolves, and they were already up 3-0. So they probably I don't even give a shit. Yeah, the Nuggets were from pole to pole the best team in the NBA last year. We saw teams take big strides. We saw other teams take step backs, but the Nuggets were fantastic all year. Bruce Brown, everyone's talked about it all offseason, is a big missing piece for them. He signed with the Pacers, one of the reasons why James was so high on the Pacers a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to have to see guys like Christian Braun really take a step forward. And there's kind of no reason why he couldn't do it. Christian Braun went from winning the NCAA championship to an NBA championship back-to-back years. So the guy's a winner. All he does is win. And obviously this Nuggets team is still looking very formidable and really good. And again, we've mentioned it 12 million times. And whenever anyone plays in Denver, they still have that altitude thing. So at least they got that on their side. So Tyler, they went 53-20 last year. Vegas has them at 53.5. So pretty much thinking they're going to get roughly the same record, over or under.
I'm going to go under just barely. Like I said, I think that the depth is going to cause them to lose a few more games, but they're still going to be at the very top of that conference.
Traden?
I'd choose slight sadness.
Slight sadness. 52 wins for the Denver Nuggets. James, Slight sadness.
Yeah, slight sadness at 52 as well.
Yeah, I think long season, short off season, probably going to come out of the gate a little slow. I'm also taking the under. That's a very strange feeling for us all to take the under on the defending NBA champions who just had an incredible season. But hey, that's the NBA for you.
They're in the moment where the regular season doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, very true. That is very true. The Nuggets feel like a lock to make the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter for them. James, that is all I got. We have 2 divisions left. And yeah, the NBA season is starting in like 2 weeks. So we'll get there.
Everybody get your fantasy drafts ready. Thank you, Alex. So in that segment, we learned about positivity. In the first segment, we learned about being called Connor, being good at hockey. So in the third segment, I don't know what we'll learn about, but Tyler will take it after this break. You have 2 potential. Have you used positivity as a name? I feel like you have.
I think I have, but I might go positive podcast this time.
Oh, so not a man called Connor.
Or tiny sadness.
Like tiny sadness.
Tiny sadness is better. Thank you, Trey.
I don't even know if you're gonna
actually, it actually is going to work well with what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
You're right.
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk about the divisional series for MLB playoffs. And by the time you listen to it, it'll be Thursday. So we started this at a weird time, but you live, you love, you learn, and you also have some tiny sadness. Tyler, tell us about your tiny sadness.
Yeah, a lot of tiny sadness, really a lot of big sadness right now, but could turn into a lot bigger. But obviously, we're recording this on Tuesday night. We have one series that wrapped up, and we're going to talk about that right off the bat. The Rangers swept the Baltimore Orioles. And as Traden mentioned earlier with his fun fact in the intro, the first time that the Orioles have been swept since May of 2022, back when Alex got married. So it's been a while. So it's pretty crazy. Obviously the Texas Rangers guys, a lot of people didn't really have them going too deep in this postseason, myself included, but they have not lost a playoff game so far. They beat the top 2 teams in the American League in terms of record, in the Rays and the Orioles. James, I'm gonna throw this right back to you. Where do you see the Texas Rangers now with the teams remaining as, favorites to win the World Series? I think Texas is definitely playing super hot right now. Do you like them to advance just no matter who they play? And like, where do you see them in terms of like your rankings of World Series favorites?
Out of the teams that are left, I think they're my least favorite of them all. I really feel like Texas is getting lucky with the teams that they're playing having the worst time of their life. Like the Orioles, man, like they were riding high all the regular season. Then how do you come into this game and not win a game, not even put up a fight? Like that's tough. They're having terrible luck up against the Rangers, who were having the best luck. It's timely hitting, and for some reason, nobody can hit against Texas right now in the playoffs. Will that continue? Probably not. But I mean, like Adley Rutschman was a favorite to be one of the better guys in the series because he always is. He had 1 hit in the series. What is going on? That is not normal whatsoever. That's what you're getting. You're getting bad luck against Texas. And that luck is going to run thin eventually. And at that point, Texas is finally going to lose.
All right. I think it's an interesting thing. I think this Texas Rangers team reminds me a lot of kind of the Phillies last year. I mean, a team that kind of just, was the wild card team and just got hot at the right time. And that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense as to why, but they're playing really good. Their pitching is in particular, starting pitching and the bullpen, which was a huge major red flag going into this postseason, has done a very good job. And I think if they can continue to pitch as well as they have, this is going to be a hard team to beat because that offense is insanely good and they're hitting very well. I mean, Garcia just murdered a baseball today, and Corey Seager is being Corey Seager in the playoffs. Along with the rest of that lineup, man, I like this Texas team. And if the Dodgers get knocked down this round, which it's very likely that might happen, I think the Texas Rangers for me are the team I'm not only rooting for, but the team that I think that can definitely win it. So let's move on to the other American League division series, the Twins and the Astros. They've flip-flop games so far. Houston won game 1. The Twins responded and took the second game, but they lost game 3 at home against the Astros. I believe the final score is 11-2 or 9-1. Some not great for Minnesota there. So this series is on the edge. Minnesota has one more home game to try and even it up. Traden, how do you see this series playing out? I think, it's going to be a lot closer because I think the Twins are playing a lot better than what a lot of people expected. I think they still have a good shot here, but can the Twins pull the upset, or do you see the Astros advancing to their 7th straight ALCS?
Yeah, the Twins did what they shouldn't have done, and that's give life to the Houston Astros. You never ever want to do that, because they will make you pay, and they have. At the end of the day, I really do, tip my hat to the Minnesota Twins. I think that they really made us think that they could make a nice push and push these Astros to the brink. But today was a different beast. The problem is that you lost at home. You lost at home. Like you did split your home, and you had home field, and then you just lost it. And that's the problem. And Houston now has 2 chances to close out. They're going to go back to Houston in game 5 if there is one. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to see another Astros NLCS. I'm sorry, ALCS. I'm sorry. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, it's hard to really picture it happening, but crazier things have happened. Alex, kind of what's your take on the way the American League is shaping up so far?
Yeah, with Texas and Baltimore, James kind of nailed it. Baltimore just didn't hit, and Texas's starting pitching was incredible, and the Rangers mashed like they were supposed to. The whole worry was the bullpen, and their bullpen, it helps when you're up 11-1 every fucking game. Like, your bullpen can give up 6 runs and it doesn't matter. So I think the 2 teams in the NL East and the Astros before the Rangers, but I like your point, Tyler, about the Rangers being the Phillies and just kind of like riding high. None of us picked them to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year, and they're just mashing the ball, and like, good for them. And I think Traden nailed it with the Astros and the Twins. You split after losing game 1. Pablo Lopez comes into game 2 and just absolutely shoves, and then you come home and you have Sonny Gray going, and that place was rocking, just so pumped, and then you lay a goose egg. That's tough. I mean, I don't know how you win 2 more against these Astros. It's the Astros. Like, of course they're going to the ALCS.
Of course, you might as well just put it in Sharpie when the season begins. The Astros are going to make the ALCS. It just seems like it's what's going to happen. Let's move on to the National League. Probably the most exciting series by far in this round. The Phillies and the Braves. Both games so far have been very fun to watch. The ending of game 2 last night was insane. Probably one of the best postseason games that we might see all postseason. James, do you feel like the winner of this series is the favorite to take it all?
Yeah, I do. And whether it be the offense of the Braves, or whether it be the feel-good story and the underdogness and the fact that they always ride high Phillies, like, these are 2 great teams to root for, and especially because the Dodgers, who are another favorite, have been looking trash recently. Like, who else are you going to root for? I'm not rooting for Texas. I'm not rooting for the Astros. So I'm going to root for either the Braves or the Phillies, who are both very likable teams. Like, it's hard not to like either of these teams, so it's hard to see one of them lose. I think that the Phillies made a mistake by letting the Braves offense get hot again. I mean, they were terrible in game 1, and then that one error by Trey Turner sparked this entire 180 turnaround of this offense of the Braves, and it's going to be hard to stop, man. You should have kept them down when they were down, but letting them back in, that little crack in the dam is eventually going to become this massive waterfall, and you can't stop the Braves offense. But on the Phillies side, they got that feel-good story, man. You got Bryce Harper, you got Trey Turner, you got everybody working in conjunction to being good, and it's hard to root against either of them. But I still think that the Braves are going to win, and I still think they're my favorite.
Yeah, I like that take. I think, I mentioned in my previews that, pretty much impossible to shut down the Braves offense, but you can at least try and slow them down. But for a while, though, the Phillies were shutting down that Braves offense. I think they were no hit through 5 innings in game two. But then, as you mentioned, they kind of let the floodgates open a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see if the Braves can take that into the rest of the series, especially going into Philadelphia, one of the most raucous, most fun atmospheres I think that postseason baseball has to offer. This is going to be a great series. I think it's going to go 5. I think I originally said it was going to go 4, but Philly, man, I love the fire they bring. They're just a fun team to watch. They're electric, and so are the Braves. And I agree. I think whoever comes out of the series most likely is going to be the favorite to win the World Series. Let's move on to the other series that I have to talk about because it's going on. The D-backs are up 2-0 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers have looked dog shit. As I mentioned, it's just kind of a fact of nature that when it comes to October baseball, the Dodgers just for some reason cannot seem to get the job done in one way or another. Clayton Kershaw, love that guy, but worst start of his career. Just did not set the tone the way that he was supposed to. And Bobby Miller, the rookie, could barely get through an inning and a half in game two. So the bullpen is taxed. But more importantly, this offense for the Dodgers is just a no-show, which was a problem last year. For me, the top two and, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, I think combined are 1 for 13, no extra base hits. That's not going to get the job done. But Alex, I'm going to throw it to you, my fellow Dodger fan. What the fuck is going on? And do you have any hope that they can reverse sweep this motherfucker?
I'm going to have like a little hope, but I've also just, it's the Dodgers in October. I prepare myself for failure. In like 2014, little 21-year-old Alex, all positivity with the Dodgers. It's not tiny sadness. Actually, it is tiny sadness because like either way, I don't think they were going to get past the Phillies or the Braves, whoever they played in the NLCS. So like, I think it helps coming into it knowing they weren't going to win. Yeah, the Kershaw thing was a real bummer. I'd spent like 12 hours in the car that day and I'd barely gotten home in time, and I'd sat down and had a beer, and then the play to Outman happened. And I was like, oh, Kershaw's not getting a single swing and miss. They're just tattooing every ball. And when Gabriel Moreno hit the homer, I just turned it off. I was like, nope, this isn't it. Like I'm going to bed. So yeah, you're right. Like I think Kershaw didn't set the tone. And there's so much pressure on Mookie and Freddie to get a hit every single time. And they're just not doing it. There was the problem in the Padres series last year. Trey Turner had a big error in that series that switched everything around. That's kind of his MO in the playoffs now. It's a little scary, but they can't hit. And honestly, like the D-backs, they just look like they're having more fun and like more passion, and they want it more. And the Dodgers just look like a team that's going about their business, which may work in the regular season, but like you need some fire in the playoffs. You need something, and it is just not there. So I don't know, 5% chance they do it. Like I think if Mookie starts off the game tomorrow with a double in the gap, and then Freddie hits, like if they do like back-to-back doubles and get the lead early, I think they have a chance. Like they can really switch the momentum, but if the D-backs score first, I think it's over.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm still holding on to a minuscule, amount of hope that they can make this happen. But man, it's just frustrating. And I think, for whatever reason, I think just the mindset, I think it's gotta be a mindset thing. I mean, it's mind blowing how they just go to October and it just seems like they play so flat. And what, I think last year I mentioned, I think they're just too comfortable. Like they didn't, their whole regular season, they just cruise by, and it's hard to turn that switch, especially after the bye week, which they basically have, which in baseball just doesn't really exist. And I think you see a lot of these top teams struggle with that, with having those 5 consecutive days off. It's not a thing that happens during the whole season. So to kind of get back into it in a playoff atmosphere is really difficult. And I think that's a conversation we can have kind of maybe in the offseason, is if that first round bye really is an advantage for those top seeds, because there's a good argument that it's not. But it'll be interesting to see how this wraps up. I had another thought, but I don't know where it went. But Traden, you were at the game 2 last night. Could you feel the collective anxiety of Dodger Nation while you were there?
Oh boys, it was tough. Obviously, I was not going for the Dodgers, but I was not an asshole, so I don't want to. I kept my little golf claps when things went the way that I wanted them to. But I did. I was one of the only ones that wasn't standing up to. Every pitch, everybody was standing up. Like it seemed like every full count, everybody was standing up. Like that was a really cool atmosphere. I just want to say that. But you just felt tension, and you just felt like they knew it. Like the fans just kind of knew it, and the problem is, and you mentioned that there's a lot of pressure on Mookie and especially Freddie, and you could see it. Like Freddie did not seem on. Like you could just tell. Like it's just not what we expect from Freddie. And it was the 8th inning, and they were 5, 6 maybe 7 batters away from Freddie, and they're like, if we could just get to Freddie, we have a chance to come back. I'm like, you guys, you're not even gonna get there. Like, I'm sorry. Like everyone behind them was doing nothing. Like Muncy was not doing nothing. Like nobody was doing anything. Like it just seemed like the offense was horrible. Like you had plenty of players in scoring position and just could not do it. And you know what, Tyler, I think the problem is very similar to what we saw in the first round last. And I know I bring up hockey all the time, but I'm bringing up a situation last year where the Boston Bruins lost to the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers are a team that we just want to fucking have fun. And just like Alex said, we just want to have fun and fucking win. And the Dodgers are the Boston Bruins that have all this pressure on them. It's the Dodgers. It's October. They're gripping the bats a little too tightly, or there's some kind of mental issue where they're like, it's only going to be fun if we're hitting and if things go in our way, and they just can't play. And I think that's just what they're facing. And the pitching wasn't horrible. I mean, it wasn't great in the beginning, but the bullpen held up. I mean, the problem is the game was over in inning 1, just like last game. So it didn't matter that you guys made it interesting. I just felt for the fans. There was just a balloon that just was a slow deflation, and it just got all limpy and sad and tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny
Yeah,
sad.
very tiny, sad. Yeah, I've been in those atmospheres. I think the Dodgers have made the postseason 11 consecutive years, and they've won one World Series. And the one time they did win it, none of the fans were there in person to really see it. So I think that those atmosphere, that I totally know what you're talking about. It's very frustrating as Dodger fans. And the other thought that just came back to me was, it's pretty crazy how these last 2 seasons the Dodgers they played a NL West opponent in the division series after dominating them all season long, and it kind of seems like the assumption is that they're just gonna win. I think I'm starting to catch. I think the NL West is doing it on purpose. I think they're letting us win 100 plus games and winning the division by 15 plus games, and then just raping us when it comes to the fucking postseason. I think that's what's happening, and I'm catching on. And I don't know whoever's going to do it, the Padres, Giants, I don't care, because the one time the Dodgers did beat a division opponent recently was the Giants, and that's because that's the one time the Dodgers did not win the division, and it was by a single game, so they had to fight for their lives. I'm telling you, I'm starting to see a pattern here, the NL West, and I don't like what's going on. And the Dodgers need to figure it out. I'm gonna go to Dodger Stadium, and I'm gonna tell them what's going on, because this is bullshit.
Lose in the regular season.
Yeah, lose more games in the regular season and make it interesting, because you can't just keep cruising and then just turn on a switch, especially if you're gonna get a first round bye and you're gonna be sitting on your ass for a whole week.
I know how they should fix it, and I know that James is going to back me up on this. Every single Dodgers player should take 1 to 3 shots of whiskey right before the game starts.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, fuck it. They gotta try something different. But yeah, that's what I got for baseball. Obviously, by the time that you listen to this, either the Dodgers are, maybe they're staying alive, maybe they're not. We might have a full championship series set. Maybe it's not. Hope you guys are enjoying it either way, whether you're a Dodger fan or not. But yeah, something.
Yeah, fall
something.
asleep.
October baseball is fun. it's either way, it's a love-hate thing for me. But Dodgers, please don't let me down again, please.
Wow.
Gene, that's all I got.
Wow, tiny sadness.
Wow.
That was big
That's
sadness.
big sad.
Yeah,
That's not tiny. That's big sad.
Big sadness energy to end the podcast there after a pretty positive podcast. Way to go, Tyler, to bring down the mood.
That's the Dodgers for you.
Oh man.
Okay, well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed listening to that episode, even though there's tiny sadness at the end. Hope you have a great week, because we're gonna have a great week. Hopefully, if the Dodgers don't lose.
Hopefully.
But we'll catch you next week. Thanks for listening.
I mean, honestly, it'd probably be better if they just get swept than lose in game 5, right?
Yeah, I'd rather they get swept than lose.
Just
Yeah.
rip the
pull
band-aid
plug,
now.
yeah.
Rip the band-aid. Like,
Lose by a lot.
Ugh, I
If
don't
they lose
know.
by 25 runs, not bad. Not
It's
bad.
all-
Like, then you don't even have to watch the end. It's like it's over. It's
Like pulling off and turn it off in the first.
Yeah.
dude, I had such a fucking long day that day that like I got back and sat down. I was like, yes, okay, Dodger baseball. Fuck. Like, just
Yeah, I was like, because Jess was at a bachelorette party or something all night, and like I had the whole day to myself. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna sit all night, gonna watch the Dodger game, and then Jess is gonna get home, and it's gonna be great. And then it was over in like an hour, and I was like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do the rest of the night until Jess gets home? So I was just sad until Jess got home.
Oh, tiny sad.
I tried to distract myself watching Star Wars, but it didn't really work.
Hey, but at least you got beer out of it.
I did.
That's
I did get beer out of it, so thank you, James. That was a
welcome.
good pick me up. I appreciate that.
Because I care about you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Guys, I'm hungry, so I'm gonna go.
All right.